What's up, Bulldogs? All right. I bet you guys never saw this one coming, right? I have LFA here, and I've been excited for this. Actually, it's kind of interesting. We'll talk about the story a little bit, but just to give you a little bit of background, I remember first watching LFA videos, and I was like, damn, this guy is like hating on pickup. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? And I'd just be, typing these comments like, no, like arguing back and forth. And I started watching more of his videos, and I was like, he's right about this. Like there was like so many things I was like, I agree about this. And we went back and forth a little bit and stuff. And then I noticed him comment on some of my videos. And so I really, like personally just gained an immense amount of respect for him for one, because I feel like he's always just been honest and just giving what he thinks at the time that's correct. And then also just that, he could have these discussions with me and not be so butthurt about someone disagreeing with him. Like, I feel like there's a big problem in the manosphere today where people are having all this drama. So anyway, I'm very happy to have LFA here. Welcome, LFA.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, man. And what's up, Bulldogs in the chat? Make sure you guys get the likes up, and let's have a good one today.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, guys, get the likes up and super chats if you want to ask LFA some questions here. He said everything. There's nothing off limits. So
yeah.
So what was your take? What was going on from your side of the our like little history?
So when I kind of first entered the manosphere, and I think everybody enters the manosphere in the same way, if you really think about it, it's like, I know you started out with Simple Programmer. I was actually making fitness videos in 2015. A lot of people don't know that. The fitness community is so oversaturated, like a little guy coming in, it's going to be hard to make an impact. But I started making the dating advice videos, and I kind of gravitated towards MGTOW, which is kind of something that you don't really get into. Now, the reason why I gravitated towards that is because my background, I never really struggled with women. So and what I mean was, it was never like, I was never going through like long droughts where I just couldn't have a woman in my life. So the pickup artist thing just wasn't appealing to me. And when I'd watch the PUA stuff, it was kind of like what? I don't do any of this. When I go to a nightclub, I don't cold approach 50 women. I have a good time, and normally one thing leads to another, and I maybe take a woman home. So I kind of thought the PUA stuff was kind of trash. So I admit, maybe I said some things in the past that were like a little bit too harsh towards that community. And I've kind of changed my way of thinking a little bit, because I understand there are a lot of guys out there that's really where they struggle at. So, maybe a little bit of repetition is going to help them. You know what I mean? So I sort of changed my way of thinking there. And, as far as you and I arguing, it was always constructive criticism. That's what I took it as. Yeah. Because I knew you were a guy with a pretty large following, and you had a lot of good things to say, and you're an intelligent guy, you're a successful guy. So if you're taking the time to watch my videos and you're giving me your opinion, I mean, I'm going to value that. I'm not a guy that, gets butthurt and gets upset, anytime somebody says something that's, goes against my way of thinking. And unfortunately, like you said, in the manosphere, there's a whole lot of that. And, at the end of the day, we all sort of risk, how much longer are we all going to be here? I
know, right?
It's one of those things, like, if we can't fight with each other, then we have nothing.
Yeah. That's it's interesting. Yeah, it's like interesting from the different backgrounds too, right? It's because like I was just watching some Coach Greg Adams videos. Like, I saw an interview that what's his name, Bruno, did with him, and I was like, okay, I kind of get where he's coming from now, because like we have different backgrounds. It's like, you never had any problem like struggling with women. I was like a super shy, like completely like, oh my gosh, like total nerd guy, and I had to like figure stuff out. And so it's like, but it's good to have like these different viewpoints, because then you learn something, right? Someone like you, I would describe as natural, right? You've got like a natural game, and then but you have a different perspective, and then I have a perspective, and then we've got even guys that I dislike some of their perspective in MGTOW, or it's like all of these things, we need to have these discussions and kind of hash this stuff out. And that's how we like move forward, instead of acting like women. Unfortunately, I think we see so much drama, and it's like, I'm always up to talk to anyone. Like, I'm not going to get butthurt about someone disagreeing with me, even MGTOW guys. I love you guys too. So.
Right. Yeah. There's a certain level of responsibility that we have when we make this content too. And acting like little bitches is, that's not something we should be doing, because let's face it, I think a big reason why the people gravitate towards this is because overall masculinity has been pretty much downplayed, like just so much. People kind of, anytime they see something that just looks manly, it looks masculine, they gravitate towards it. It could be some sort of movies or music. It could be guys on YouTube. These guys, for the most part, are raised by their mothers and raised by their teachers, which are mostly females. And, they don't really have any guidance. So they come to us. And if we're acting like little bitches, then, we're not doing a whole lot of good.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They see that example, right? It's like, because we are setting an example. It's kind of weird because, sometimes I guess when you're behind the camera, like you don't realize what a role model that you end up being. But there's a lot of guys that are watching, and you're the only father figure to a lot of guys. And so like they see us, and then they make, they make decisions on how men act. And so, yeah, so I think I've always said this, like, if I have a problem with someone, with another man, I like to pull them aside in private and deal with our issue. I mean, maybe we have to fight. I don't know, but no one else needs to know about it. It doesn't need to become a public thing. I don't need to like call names and stuff. Like if I have a problem with you, let's talk about that. And I think that's how we should operate as men, especially like you said, who knows how long we're going to be here. And, we are already a minority. Like we're right. Now we're like a faction minority, like it's all splintered. And, and so we have so many people trying to suppress this message that we're trying to get out that's so critical. So we really need to be unified in that sense on the things that we agree on for sure. So. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. What was I? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you about, so I titled this like Deep Dive into Female Nature, which I think, I was going to ask you a little bit about this because I've been watching like a lot of your latest videos have really been good on hitting on like female nature, on knowing, how women operate and how you can figure that out and figure out where you stand. What, maybe just like what's your kind of background in that? Like, how did you figure this kind of stuff out?
Well, I mean, really just by dating women, being in relationships, honestly. But I realized that it's very easy for me to tell if a woman is genuine or not. And it could be a friend of mine who's dating a new woman or, a woman that I'm seeing. It's very easy for me to I don't even have to test her. Like I can tell just based on her level of interest in me and her level of interest in getting back to me. I mean, when a woman genuinely wants to be with you, she's going to show it. It's very easy to recognize, she's kind of in your corner and she's always waiting to see you again. She's supportive and, she just genuinely wants to be with you. But a lot of guys sort of get lost in this female worship that we're sort of taught to do now. So when a woman comes around and, okay, first of all, women use sexuality to gain commitment from men. And that's very clear. Men that know what they're doing should use the idea of commitment to get sexuality from women. If you're a high value man, then, you know what you're worth, and it should be easy for you to do that. But a lot of men, where they go wrong is they're unable to identify if she actually has a genuine desire or romantic interest in him, or if she's just using him for what he has. And it's almost like a form of like, I don't know, like Asperger's or something. They just don't have like the social, it's like they're on a different level and they can't see it. And I don't know what the issue is. And that's what I've been trying to hammer on to the guys in my audience lately. Like, it's difficult for me to put into words, honestly. It's something that they should be able to pick up on. It's social cues. You should be able to identify if a woman, genuinely wants to be with you or not.
Yeah, I think I always say like, does she want something or does she want something from you? Because it's always like one of those two things. And I think a lot of it, where you're describing, like the reason why guys can't see it is because they don't want to see it, right? Yeah. It's like you don't want to know you want, like, it's easy to make all these self-justifications as to why she's not acting this way towards you, and that she must really want you. And but in the back of your head, like, if you really looked at it, you would realize that you're being used, like you're being used for something. She wants something from you.
Right. And I think a lot of guys, they'll try to test a woman. Like maybe they'll pull away from her. You know, they'll stop texting her and stop messaging her and hope that she'll contact them, or, you know, and it just takes forever. So eventually they break and they start texting and calling her again. And they don't realize that she's going to continue to use them as long as they allow it to happen, you know? So they sort of try to, they don't want to ruffle the, you know, they don't want to cause any controversy and basically end the friendship that they're in, that they're being used in. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Jay Vincent. What's up, Jay? He's going to be at 21 Convention speaking as well. He says that his presentation will be on YouTube. So yeah, be cool to. By the way, guys, I'll be at a 21 Convention next week. So it'll be. And speaking of drama, it's caused some drama, but but yeah. So what's a good way to for guys to kind of, do you think is a good strategy for them to figure this out, like to test a woman to see, you know, if they think, and maybe they think that maybe they're being used for something instead of being genuinely desired?
Yeah, well, they need to refrain from spending money on a woman, and they need to refrain from even attention as a form of currency with women. So they need to pull back on all of that stuff and see if she chases a little bit, because if a woman really wants to be with you, she's going to find a way to make that happen. It shouldn't just be something that you're doing. And I know it could be something as simple as cold approaching. It could be a woman that you don't even know yet. You know, in my opinion, I meet women all the time and I approach women all the time. I'm not against approaching women, but approaching a woman is giving her free attention. So typically what I will do, because, you know, I'm not like super urgent about approaching a woman every time I see a good looking woman, but I'll wait for her to give me for her to earn my approach, basically. So like, let's say I'm at the gym. I know people say don't shit where you eat. I do. I don't care. So, you know, if a new woman comes around and, you know, we start conversations with each other and things seem to be going well, within a few days, if she starts to, you know, step her game up, she's doing her hair, she's doing her makeup, she's looking for me, she's really, you know, trying to find me and trying to be with me, then yeah, then she's earned my attention. And if you're in a relationship with a woman and basically the whole entire relationship is you spending money on her, you taking her out to nice places, you doing things for her, you need to stop that, you know, pull back and see if she gives you attitude, see if the relationship goes downhill, because she will use her good looks to try to manipulate you and, you know, try to get what she wants if she's disingenuous.
Yeah, I think that's just a good strategy in general, right? It would be something like Robert Greene probably talked about in the Art of Seduction, right? Like being the coquette, right? Like hot and cold, right? So like pulling back and seeing, like, or maybe asking her to pay for something, like getting her to invest and see if she, I mean, if she won't invest at all, then you know you're being played. But even I think you can even build like a level of attraction to some degree if you can get her to invest, if you can pull back. And then she's like, because I think a lot of guys make themselves too available, they're too free with their attention, with their validation, and they're not requesting anything in return. They're not trying to get her to make some kind of commitment or investment in the
right
interaction. So
and I think the biggest thing is if she isn't, you know, if you are sort of pulling away and testing her a little bit, if she isn't biting, it's important to go out with another woman. Not only because she knows that you have options and you might make her a little bit jealous if you really want to be with her, if you want to go that route, but also you have one foot out the door now. You know, you don't have all your eggs in the same basket. So, I mean, let's face it, it's not going to work out every single time. You know, nobody's 100%. So, you know, it's important to always have, you know, one foot out the door if you need to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say you have to have the respect for yourself as a man to not want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you. I mean, that's like
Yes.
it's better to be. I know a lot of guys disagree because they think, oh, well, if I could just get this one girl, but it's way better to be single and on your own than to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't actually want to be with you. And I think so many guys settle for that, even in marriages. Like they settle for like because the girl's like, okay, well, this guy is going to give me what I need, and they don't know the difference, right, between a girl that lets you fuck her and a girl that wants to fuck you, and it's a huge difference, right? If you've seen both of them, like guys are like, oh no, I'll just take whichever, it doesn't matter, and it's like no, it makes a huge difference because it's not just in their bedroom, it's in the relationship. It's like how you're treated, like being treated like a king or being treated like a peasant.
Right.
It's a huge difference, and it's a big part of your life.
Yeah, she needs to have an emotional attachment and a sexual desire as well. They both have to be there.
So what about your bad beats? What's your, a guy like you that has this wisdom in this area must have had some hard learnings at some point. What are some of your, the ones that you've had that you remember that you learned some lessons from?
Everybody always asks me that. I'm going to be honest. I don't really have any, like, there's no really bad ones that I can think of. I would say the worst thing was I was with my ex for about 8 years, but she was very loyal. She was a good woman. Honestly, she treated me well, and we just kind of grew apart. My attraction to her went away, and we didn't have any kids yet. We still weren't married. And it was like, I'm just wasting her time. Before I know it, she's going to be 30 with no kids. And I'm still not really I don't have a high level of interest in her. It was sort of safe. So my biggest mistake was being with somebody that I didn't really have a super high level of interest in, and I don't really know why I did that. I'm just a loyal person, but it's just the way that was. But I've never really gone through any major like heartbreaks, so to say, or anything like that. I know a lot of guys have. I mean, I have seen in the past, there's been women that I've went out with and I've observed their behaviors, and, I'll go out with them a few times and then they'll sort of leave me and then go with some, like I was with a woman whose future boyfriend bought her a car while she and I were still talking. So, I mean, to me, that's not a heartbreak. That's like, okay, any woman's going to take that. And we were only together for like a month or two. So it was like, I learned a lot about, what women could potentially do to a man. And I feel sorry for that guy, but I learned the lesson and, didn't really take any hits,
Yeah, that's interesting. Cause it seems like you're just like that. You've just had like a natural form of non-attachment I mean, like guys have to learn non-attachment. Like that's like to be able to let that, cause I think another guy in that situation would still be brooding about that, be like, oh, that guy with the money and those thoughts that they only care about money and be upset about that. Whereas it's like I guess part of it probably because you see that you have other opportunities, right? I think if you have
we use hyperboles in the manosphere, like all women are like that. We don't really mean every single woman on the planet is trying to drain your money and resources, and they're all ultra hypergamous. There are some decent women out there. It's a hyperbole. It's in general, most women seek out high value males, and they do, money and resources are attractive to women. But there's also genuine women out there. And, I know right now we're sort of, I know it's unpopular to say that in the manosphere. We're sort of, woman bashing is like the popular way to go. And I understand that it's fun, it's entertaining, but I mean, there are some pretty good women out there, and that's just the honest to God truth. I've seen too many to, not feel that way. So I'm not gonna judge all women based on bad behaviors from one.
Real quick, a big shout out to Solo TV. What's up, brother? Guys, go check out his channel. Go subscribe. He's awesome. Love his content. So go check out Solo TV, fellow brother in the manosphere.
Yeah, good to see Solo.
So yeah, actually, so based on what you just said, I have another unpopular sentiment in the manosphere, which is I was just doing a video kind of talking about this a bit, which is that I believe that a woman in a relationship is a reflection of the man in the relationship, right? And so it's unfortunate because like I understand like a lot of the guys that have these sad stories, and I have empathy for them. Even like I understand, like it hurts. I mean, yeah, some of these bad situations, but I think it's important for us to recognize, and like if you're going to avoid these problems in the future, is that I think guys are like, okay, well, 98% of women are bad, and then like I just got to find the magical 2% unicorn. And really, the reality is more like it's like, you know, maybe 50% of women are like could be good for you, like, but you have to step up and be the man because women respond to masculinity, and like absence of masculinity, women become masculine, and it's like it's not a popular thing to tell guys that are hurting, that have had bad shit happen to them. But the truth is, a lot of times they screwed themselves over because they were not the man in the relationship. They walked on eggshells. They let her get away with shit, and they didn't step up, and they didn't know how to handle an emotional woman in a relationship. And so they got into that situation. And it's easy, I think, to blame women and say, oh, you know, oh, it's society today, it's Instagram, it's too much validation. And there's some merit to some of those things. I'm not totally discarding them, but I think there's just too much, you know, again, I call all that victim mindset, right? It's like, if you're blaming someone else for your problem, in my mind, it's a victim mindset.
Right. And the same way all these guys in the chat, all of your subscribers, all of my subs, the same way they gravitate towards masculinity, the way, you know, they enjoy it, they get this cool vibe from it, you know, they feel like they're learning something. Women feel the same way about it, same exact way. And they're actually attracted to it, you know, even more than these guys are. I'll give you an example. The woman that I'm seeing now, it was her birthday last week, and we went to a restaurant, and we went out to a few different places, and my car wouldn't start as we were leaving a place. So I open up the hood and I'm looking in, trying to figure out what's wrong. It's not a bad car, but it wouldn't start. I don't know what's going on. And she comes out and shines her light in there, and she says, she's got a smile on her face, and she's like, I like to watch. You know, she wants to watch me fix the car. It's her birthday. We're supposed to be doing fun things, but she's enjoying herself just watching me be a man. Now, very easily, if I was like, let's call a tow truck, we got to go home, the night's over, and I couldn't fix it, you know, that would be a huge turnoff for her. You know, that's kind of a beta trait. It's a guy that doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't know how to be a man. Right. And I think a lot of young men out there, they just don't have basically the credentials that it takes to call yourself a man, and they don't know how, and you know, they want to learn how.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think, you know, because I've had experience with good women, and it's really, it's funny because like, if you are really a masculine man, if you understand that, you don't really have bad experiences with women. I tried to think back. I mean, there were times when I didn't understand what I was doing, and I had bad experiences for sure. But once I had figured things out, I feel like it was like just all good experiences, right? It's like there were certain situations where I'm like, okay, I'm removing myself from the situation, but nothing really bad. Like, you know, you have like women that adore you, that, like you said, like she's shining light. She's like, I mean, she's like, you know, enthralled with you. Like she wants that masculinity. And it's the opposite, I think, of what we hear so much today. Like we hear this, oh yeah, you know, she's riding my ass. She's like, she's going out and cheating on, like all these things. And it's like, no, like if you really are a very strong masculine presence, you'll get a totally different behavior from the exact same woman. And I think a lot of guys haven't experienced that because, again, a lot of the content in the manosphere focuses on being aware, like red pill, being aware. I think it's important to be aware of the nature of women, but they don't really focus on like how to actually be a man, especially a man in a relationship. And once you understand that, then the dynamic changes. Then it's like, in fact, actually, I was going to ask you about this because I just recorded a video on this. What do you think about the phrase, it's she's not yours, it's only your turn?
Now a lot of guys in the manosphere that I respect fully, I respect the shit out of them. They promote that. But I disagree with it. I think, I mean, I agree with it to a certain extent, but I think it's sort of almost coming from a low value perspective. And there's extremely high value guys that say that. So if you're a content creator watching this and you say that, I'm not calling you low value, but
yeah,
it's almost as if you're putting yourself in a low value mentality. A high value man should have the mentality of it could be her turn, you know,
right.
maybe it's her turn. If she plays her cards right, maybe she
right.
can stay a while, you know?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, most guys just don't have that mentality. And I think, again, it comes down to lack of masculine leadership. I think if they had strong fathers and they saw the way their fathers behave around their mothers, they would understand that. But most guys don't. And it's easy to get caught up in this, I guess the rabbit hole of the manosphere and just believe all of this stuff to be 100% true, but it's just not. A lot of it comes down to your mindset. If you're a confident man, and it's real confidence based on you've validated it in real life. You've gone through experiences and you can be successful, then I don't think you should have that mindset. And I think some of the guys that do have that mindset are highly successful men. They're high value men who have recently gone through bad experiences with women. And that's sort of where their mindset's at. But I think they'll change if they, happen to meet a woman who is genuine.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And yeah, same thing. Again, I know a lot of guys I respect say that phrase. And I think there's some truth to it, like in the sense that you should be non-attached. You shouldn't be attached to this one. You should assume that everything in your life is borrowed, and you're going to have to give it back at some time because everything is temporary. And so you don't suffer a loss. If she leaves your life, it's okay. But I think a lot of guys are taking that and then making a negative connotation out of it. It's almost like that phrase was useful to get people out of blue pill mentality, where they were thinking she's the one and she's the only one, and because I love her so much and I like all her Instagram photos, she must like me just as much, and she must not have eyes for any other guy. And like telling them that phrase sort of shakes them out of it. But then, like you said, like if you make that your mantra and you're like, okay, well, I'm never gonna get emotionally involved with a girl because it's just my turn. She's just a hoe. She just belongs to the streets. As fun as it's to say that phrase, then like you're gonna miss out on the connection. You're gonna miss out on actually developing a relationship, and you're gonna. I mean, you could be successful with women being quote cold, but it's going to be an empty success because you're not going to really feel like you've actually done anything. Like you've just raised your notch count, but you haven't actually, haven't actually improved your life in any way. Right.
But and I think there's a lot of high value men out there who are still susceptible to being blinded by a woman's beauty. Mm-hmm. And, it just happens when you meet an extremely beautiful woman. A lot of times she has that halo effect. I mean, I've seen it happen all across the board. Women can work their way up, ladders and workplaces, corporate ladders, and all sorts of things just based off of their looks. I mean, we see it on television all the time. We see these beautiful news anchors that's like, where'd she come from? How'd she get this like #1 spot on television on prime time? She came out of nowhere. And there's men that have been working in the industry for 25 years and they just can't get a good gig. And it's the same thing in relationships. A lot of guys, you might be extremely successful in a lot of areas of life, but you're blinded by a woman's beauty and she's very opportunistic and she's good at leading you on. And next thing you know, she's, divorcing you, taking a lot of the stuff you worked for.
See, that's why I've always been big on teaching guys, pick up. And again, I don't agree with everything in that community as well, right? There's like a lot of victim mindset there as well. But I have always thought, okay, if guys learn how to get women and they have success and they have experience, like the more experience that they build, then the less that they're going to value a girl's physical attractiveness, right? And I find this, with myself, with other guys that I know that have had successes. It's like I feel like guys that haven't had a lot of women, they only value women on their physical attractiveness. They would choose always the 10 over the 8, whereas guys that have had experience that have gotten the 10 before or gotten the 9. They're like, okay, well, what else does she have? Because maybe I want to pick a girl who's even like a 7.5 on the scale over a girl who's a 9 or 10, because she's actually a better person and more fun to be with. And I've had hot girls before. It's not the end all be all. Whereas like if you don't have that experience, then what happens is like the first like hottest girl that you can get, you're just like, oh, I'll never get another one again. I have to like do everything to make sure I hold on to this girl. And it's like playing poker with scared money.
I agree with that 100%. But I also think there's, the more women that you deal with, the less ability you have to have an emotional attachment to her. Now, and there's a certain level of, because you desensitize yourself as well. A lot of guys think that, women go through that, but men don't do that. We just, our notch count could be 500 and we're unscathed by it, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, do you really think Dan Bilzerian has a mindset where he can, fall in love with a woman at this point? No, he's desensitized himself to a point where it's just, it's almost like his soul's gone. But yeah, I'm sure he's a cool guy, but in terms of, actually settling down, I think that part's gone. And listen, a lot of guys, that's what they want. And I don't mean to sound all soft, but a lot of guys, they want a wife at home with kids. They want to have a good family life. And I'm not necessarily against that. So I think there's a happy medium. I think you need experience to a certain extent, but then you also need to know how to close a deal if that's what you're looking for and maintain it. And I think the pickup community, I have yet to find a pickup artist. It could be, I don't want to call out too many names and I'm not disrespecting anybody, but it could be like Todd V, Mystery, any of the RSD guys. What's the 33 Secrets? These guys are all, beyond middle age. They're in their 40s and they haven't really had anything long-term yet. So if they're teaching, they're teaching guys how to get girls, I think pickup is like the entry level.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's like getting your first kiss, getting your first lay. That's like learning pickup right there, getting phone numbers. But how can you maintain it when she gets that 7-year itch?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% on that part of it. I think there's sort of a, and again, I've thought about this a lot. I don't think I've quite figured it out because I think it's one of those dilemmas that you have. So the way I was talking to someone about this, and like having more experience for a man makes him harder. It also makes women harder. But for a man, it's a more attractive trait. Like the more hard you are as a man, the more masculine you are. Now, it also does, it does wean away your soul or maybe not your soul, but your ability to form like a bonding attachment, right? So, and that makes you hard. It makes you cold, hard, whatever you want to call it, which is more masculine and does make you more attractive to women, right? It's like they can smell it on you, right? But it destroys women in the sense that it makes them more masculine and it makes them hard. So it's like a net benefit for a man as far as his attractiveness. It's a net loss for a woman as far as her attractiveness. But then there's what you're talking about, like this kind of gray area. It's like, okay, well, how hard do you want to be? Because you could be like Dan Bilzerian hard and just like and be able to, be even more attractive to women, but you're not going to really be able to form the kind of, you're not going to be able to get into a relationship maybe or fall in love, like you said. I think there's some degree where you can fall in love but be non-attached at the same time, right? So I was talking about, I think I did a video about how alpha men should fall in love, and I was talking about how like you could meet a girl one night at a nightclub and you could fall in love with her, like if you're able to be non-attached, and you could like have this wonderful experience and be totally open, but then you could let her go the next day. I mean, you don't have to, but you could, right? Like I think they're like having that ability is important, but again, like you said, as far as like a long term, if I think if you have that ability, it's gonna be really hard for you to settle down for 7-10 years, the rest of your life, because it's once you've tasted the that thing, that I don't know, it's hard to go back. So, well,
there's also your level of thrill continues to go up as well. At first you might graduate from good looking women, then to threesomes, then to all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, what do you think these celebrities go through? You always hear about all these sex parties and like this weird R. Kelly type of stuff going on, and it's like, how'd they go down that path? It was like this womanizing, hypersexualized path that led them to like some weird kinky shit. I mean, if that's the route you want to go, then by all means. But I think there's a dark side to that as well.
Yeah, it's a never ending treadmill, right? It's the hedonistic treadmill. It's like, I know a lot of guys that have been instructors in, love systems and whatchamacallit, RSD and stuff like that. And they've been doing this for a long time. And it's like, at some point, it's like, it doesn't matter however high their count becomes or whatever kind of, like, there's always a next level to it. It's never ending. And you're not going to really find fulfillment, like continue to chase it. Like gaining a certain level of skill, I think is important. But at some point, it's like, you have to realize that this is not going to it's not going to bring you happiness or fulfillment in life. So.
Yeah, I agree.
So got a question here. I think it's a little bit of a trolling question, but I think it's worth answering anyway. From Oscar, he says, do you agree with Face and LMS when he says that every single facial feature has to be perfect in order to get even a 1 of 10 girlfriend? I think he's exaggerating here. I think he's trolling, but it's still a good question. What do you think about this? I don't know if you know Face and LMS or not.
Yeah, I do.
But okay. What do you think about, like, I guess this is really the question is like, what do you think about the black pill and these black pill guys thinking that it's all looks?
Well, okay. I think the red pill covers looks, it's just an aspect of it. Like looks, money, and status are part of the red pill. Right. But the black pill focuses like solely on the looks part of it. I know they say they don't, but every single live stream I see with these guys, it's all about looks. I've just seen too many short, ugly guys pull women to agree with that. I mean, I'm 6 foot. I'm in good shape. I'm not too terrible looking, so I can't really speak on a guy that's like a 3 out of 10 and 5'2". I can't speak on the struggles that he goes through, but I've seen too many guys succeed. And the thing is, when you see somebody like, let's say they bring up Danny DeVito a lot. Well, Danny DeVito has a pretty good looking wife. And then they say, well, it's because he's rich and he's famous. And then I say, well, you can't discredit his work ethic to become rich and famous to pull those women. He went through the obstacles. So if you are physically unattractive, then, you've got more obstacles. Let's face it. You're not like the guy that women are like swooning over when they see you. But there's still a way. You just have to find it, and a lot of these guys don't want to take that path because they're too discouraged when they see women, swooning for a handsome man. But I think the biggest problem of the black pill is just comparing themselves. You're not supposed to sit around and compare yourselves to other guys. I mean, that's not a good thing to do. Like I work out 5 days a week. At my gym, there's guys on trend, there's guys on all kinds of stuff in there. Oh yeah. I'm still natural. Okay. So I'm nothing impressive. Like you know what genetic potentials are. So for a natty compared to a guy that's on tons of gear, I mean, it's not even going to be close. But if I were to sit around and compare myself to these guys, I would be, I'd be extremely depressed. I wouldn't even have a reason to come to the gym anymore. I would give up. So I compare myself to myself and I just continue to try to get better. And that's what I would suggest that any black pilled guy does. And unfortunately, they call you blue pilled or they call you a simp or, a circus clown or whatever when you tell them that. But it's just the truth. If these guys don't want to put in the work to try to get better, then, there's really no help for them if they're not going to help themselves.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I think you stated that really well. It's so, again, like I think no one in the red pill community is really saying that looks don't matter at all. But these guys that focus on it so much, and like you said, they have to compare themselves to others. It's so destructive. I just saw, in fact, I was gonna do a video, but I decided not to. I saw this video from this guy that was almost like a suicide video. He was talking about like how he wanted to end it all, and he was just like, and his first thing was like, "Thank you, Face and LMS," and I was like, this is why, like, I like Face and LMS. I personally like him as a human being. I'd love to help him. I'd love to take him out and show him what he could actually do. But like this mentality is so destructive because it leads guys to like, and it's like, and the guy that I was going to do this video on, like, he's a good looking guy. Like he's above average, for sure, above average. And he's like ready for suicide because he believes this so much that it's only that he has to have a perfect jawline and that he has to be like totally, he called himself genetic trash. And I was like, wow, this is why, you know, I'm against this. It's not because like, you know, we could debate all the things about how much look matter, but because it's such a destructive philosophy, and it really does destroy guys. And like you said, there's so many examples of guys that are not attractive that are able to attract women, and those women genuinely desire those men, because the attraction triggers for women is different than men. Men always think like, oh, the way that we look at women is like we mainly look at youth and beauty, but women don't just look at that. They have a much more sophisticated mechanism for their attraction. And
they, as Jordan Peterson says, they date up and across dominance hierarchies, and it's the truth. That's one. I know you clash with a lot of things that he says, but that's one thing that it does seem to be pretty true in general. The big problem with the black pill guys, though, and what this guy's saying is the guys that they compare themselves to are fucking models, and they're not just like entry level models. They're like elite, top tier male models. That's like being a high school basketball player and comparing yourself to LeBron James. Yeah. Like, you're not competing with LeBron James. You have a long way to go, and you probably never will. You're competing with guys that are in high school that are never even going to play college ball. And that's the way the dating market is as well. You're not competing with male models. Okay. I mean, occasionally you might, and you might lose occasionally if the woman is just looking for something like a fling. She might choose the better looking guy, but in general, it shouldn't hold you back. I mean, there's always a way to level yourself up a little bit, build your confidence, get in better shape, work on your money, your status, all that stuff. I mean, you can really better yourself.
Quick shout out to B string for $5. But yeah, no, it's very true. And it's like, I think that like so many guys put so much emphasis on the things that they can't control instead of the things that they can. And I haven't seen a maxed out guy that is black pilled, right? Like, I always tell guys, I'm like, well, let me see your abs. Let me see your 6-pack abs. Like, why don't you have, right? Because if you've done everything, then like did you max out your, because that's within your capability. Like, and then how much money are you making, right? Like, all these questions is because if you max out everything and then you still didn't have success, probably you would be happy anyway. You'd be so proud of yourself. You'd be like, fuck women, I don't give a shit. And then ironically you'd get them because of that attitude. But even like you were saying with the model dudes, I think what a lot of guys don't understand too is photo retouching, because even the model dudes that they're comparing, like, those are not real photos. I mean, they're real photos, but they've been retouched, and it's amazing what you can do with photo retouching. And I know because in the last like couple of months, as COVID and stuff, a lot of like, I do some in-person coaching like in Vegas and stuff like that, and I haven't been able to do that. And so a lot of my coaching clients have been like, well, what can I do? And I really don't like online dating, but I was like, okay, well, let me research this and let me give them the best advice. And so I started doing some research, and I was like, hey, I found this site, Photo Feeler. I put photos on there, and I was like, I wonder what happens if I hire a photo retoucher and I take a good photo that already was rated really well, and I have them just do like slight tweaks to the photo, just make it clean it up a little, clean the skin up a little bit, make the eyes a little bit sharper, right? And all this stuff. It's fucking crazy. The results that you get are fucking crazy. It's like, and someone would not even know, like, they would see you in person and they would not know that your photo was altered in any way. They'd be like, oh, that's the guy. That looks like the guy, right? So it's crazy that they're even comparing themselves to unrealistic standards, because I guarantee you, any of those models that you see their photo, that is not a totally unaltered photo. Anyone who's smart at all on Instagram that has a huge following that is a model knows to use photo retouchers and good photo retouchers. So it's just crazy. Like that's why you've never seen Giga Chad in real life. It's because Giga Chad doesn't exist in real life. You don't see him because he doesn't actually exist. I've never seen Giga Chad. I don't know about you, but.
Right. And I consider it a little bit almost sickening when I see some of these guys that they create these channels. There's guys in their 40s that are convincing teenage guys that it's over for them. You're joining the circus if you try to get involved with women or whatever, and it's like, what the hell are you telling these kids? Like, don't give them a no, you can't speech.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're bashing all these guys and calling them frauds who are telling them that they can do it, telling them they can achieve it. Guys who have been through it, guys that have done it and made it happen. And, you know, it just amazes me to see that guys will make a living on YouTube, or maybe not a living, but, you know, they'll chase this hustle that's just poisonous and it's toxic and it's just destroying the minds of a lot of kids. Like you said, the guy that, you know, wanted to off himself, you know, there's a lot of young men out there in America that off themselves. And a lot of times it has to do with that sort of an issue. So, you know, I just can't agree with somebody that promotes that sort of a mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, my whole thing is like, if I would go down like with my last dying breath, like you have to take me out. Like I'm going to try everything I can. Like you could tell me that I can't do some shit, but it doesn't fucking matter. Like I'm going to fight as hard as I can. And, you know, if it means that at the end of the day, I still can't succeed, well, I'm fighting with my last dying breath. And that's the attitude that we should have. It shouldn't be like, oh no, you can't do it. Just because I can't do it, you know, as what Steve the dean said, he was like, I shit, you eat, or I eat, you shit.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good,
yeah. What you eat doesn't make me shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But it is tragic that, you know, it's the younger guys, right? I understand the older guys that have had bad experiences and they want to write off women completely, and that's fine. But the influence that they're having on these younger, that's why it's like people don't like it. But when you, at least I don't know how it is now, but when you search MGTOW on YouTube, like my videos all came, and I wanted those videos to come up because I want guys that are coming into the space to look up that and see my stuff, and so they don't see that other stuff and get indoctrinated first by jaded guy. Now, it's, again, if you've arrived at the conclusion by yourself, you're 40, 50, whatever, I don't care. That's fine. Like you at least had a shot at life. And but these young guys that they're 20 years old and they're already writing off women, and they don't believe that it's possible for them to have a relationship. It's horrible. It's a crime. So.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Now, I do think it's a good step if you're a guy that's in your 20s or so and you're really struggling with women. I think it's a good step to maybe almost go MGTOW for a little while and just focus on maybe become a homeowner. You know, do something, you know, work on whatever aspect of your life it is that you feel like is weak. You know, there's nothing more attractive to women than a man that has his shit together. And, you know, having your shit together, you're less than 7 years away from having everything in your life completely drastically changed. You know, your credit score could completely change. You could become a homeowner. You can triple, quadruple your income. You can go from being a 300-pound man to a ripped 200-pound man. You can do it all. It might take a few years, but, you know, you really just got to buckle down and focus on all the areas of your life and you know which areas you're struggling at. You know, if you're 29 years old and living in a 1-bedroom apartment and you have a couple of things in collections, well, you're not paying your bills on time, buddy. And you're not taking care of your responsibilities. You've got to change that. And, you know, I understand it's like especially in this time period in the USA, it's a lot of people are struggling, but you know, that's not an excuse. You've got to really focus on where it is that you need to improve your life, buckle down and get it done. And it's going to take a few years. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. But as long as you pay your bills on time, you don't commit any crimes, work on your diet, work on your physical attractiveness, you know, hit the gym a little bit, you can turn it all around. And a lot of these guys that promote that ideology and haven't even attempted to turn it around, then, you know, there's just no respect for those guys.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's kind of funny because, like, even though I don't like the acronym, I'm MGTOW all the way, in the sense that you should, as a man, your default should be MGTOW, like going your own way. Like you should always be going your own way as a man. In fact, the biggest thing you can trip up as a man is going someone else's way, or especially making a woman the center of your life and going her way. So, you know, that I agree with. And especially when you're younger as a man, get your shit together. build your finances up, get in good shape, it doesn't take much to be a top 5% man, because the competition is so shitty. Like, guys complain all the time about how hard it is today with girls knowing their value. So they pumping up their value so high with Instagram and OnlyFans and all this stuff. But what they neglect to realize is that guys are pussies today, like absolute pussies and whiny little bitches. And it's so easy to be a top % man. Everyone is overweight. Like, to get a top 5% physique, all you have to do is go to the gym for 2 years and get to like 10% body fat. That's not very hard to do. I mean, if you're dedicated, and you'll be a top 5, you probably be top 1% physique, honestly, if you do that. And then as far as money, I mean, again, if you're making 6 figures, you're probably in the top 5% right there. And as far as game and in interaction with women, again, not very hard, because I coach guys all the time, and I see guys standing around a bar. In fact, one of the things I do when I coach guys, I'm like, see all those guys standing around with drinks in their hand, like just clutched to their chest, like, you're better than all those guys, because all those guys, like, you're gonna go tonight and you're gonna at least talk to like a few girls, and all those guys, they're just gonna stand there, they're not gonna talk to any, they're just gonna hope that some girl talks to them. And so it's so easy to be a top 5% guy today. And so many guys just, they don't take the opportunity. That's what blows my mind. That's why it's like, it's so frustrating, is because I feel like there's so many guys that we can help, but they're just so convinced that by these guys that are preaching the wrong message to them and telling them, this doom and gloom. So.
Right. Well, I think they have the same mindset of, because I'm a guy that meal preps. I work out 5 days a week. And, I see people all the time, colleagues and friends and people in my circle that, they're eating a slice of pizza or whatever. And they always look at my food. They kind of make fun of me a little bit, but then they're like, I'm starting my diet tomorrow.
Right.
And so many people have this mindset, and they genuinely believe that they're going to start their diet tomorrow, but they've been saying this. They don't even realize they've been saying this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And they just never make those changes. And what a lot of guys don't understand is confidence is built. You don't just like naturally like just change your mentality and become confident. Okay, hitting the gym, that builds confidence. When you look in the mirror and you see your physique change and you see yourself, what you look like, that builds confidence. When you go through a situation like if you're debt free, if you own property, if you own a nice car, these things build your confidence. These are things that guys really need to focus on. And, before they know it, women are going to be easy. They're not even going to be a challenge, but they just have to build themselves up a little bit. Yeah,
it's true. I think also just the frame of mind, right? It's like, when you're a guy that has money, has a house, has your shit together, like has done hard shit in your life, like gone to the gym every day and meal prep, like you said, and like has done this stuff. If you go and you see some 22-year-old girl at a bar and she's the only thing she has going for her is that she's pretty, you're not putting her on a pedestal, because you're like, who you're getting a show to the John show, like it's like, you're blessed with my presence, as opposed to you like having this, the hot girl, like, getting nervous and stuff, because you really know that you're not faking it. Again, I think a lot of, some of the places that have gone wrong in the pickup community is like this whole faking this thing, just become the thing. And then you don't have to fake it. I mean, you still have to learn some skills. You still have to get over your fear and some social interaction. But when you are the thing, it's so much more powerful, because you act out of that, and it becomes natural to you. So.
Yeah, when you've accomplished things and you have your shit together, you typically don't take a lot of shit from anybody. If things aren't going your way, you say, fuck this, I'm going to find something else, And I think women can sort of sense that in a man. And they seek a man who is going to, it's just a biological imperative just to seek a man who knows how to lead like a father. You know what I mean? Yep. A man that has his shit together and is focused on what it is he wants. He knows how to get it. She's going to sense that on him. And you don't get that way by sitting around and faking it. You have to actually accomplish things to become that way. And, and you're right. That's a problem with the pickup community. And I believe that's why a lot of those guys don't have the long-term relationships, because eventually women sort of pick up on it. They say, well, this guy's fun. He's attractive. He's cool, but that's about it. So he's the equivalent to being a hot chick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where really, like we're saying, the phrase "she's not yours, it's just your turn" really becomes true in that sense,
Right.
because you have nothing of value to hold on to. But if you're a man of value, I mean, women will be hitting you up and you'll be beating them off because they'll be trying to get you because they will see what your value is. And I think there's a lot to be said for building yourself up in that way. So guys, if you have questions, send your questions in. I saw a few in the chat. If you want to have your question pop up, do the super chat. I wanted to address something that, let's see, Ross Goldberg he had said something in here that I want to address real quick. Okay, so he said this. So curious to get your take on this. He says, "I'm very fit, and many people tell me that I look like a runway male model. I'm still not great with women. I even used to struggle so badly with women, even with my good looks." What's your assessment of this?
Yeah. So if you stand there and look pretty, women are going to look at you and they're going to swoon over you. But if other men basically amog the shit out of you because your personality's weak, women are eventually going to move on to that other guy. And you're not really clear about where you struggle at. You kind of explained what your better features are, but you didn't really explain what your weaker features are. I'm guessing it has something to do with having a soft spoken, like more beta personality, but I don't know. He doesn't really give me enough to work with there.
Yeah, I find a lot of guys that, again, no offense to you, Ross, but, I'm going to dish you the harsh truth here. But I find a lot of guys that say this, it's actually not true because, again, let me see how I can put this in a way that's not too bad. I see Unplugged Fit in here, but your messages are being blocked. There, John is here as well. What's up, dude? But yeah, your messages are being blocked. Unplugged Fitness, Myron, because I don't know what you're saying that they're not liking, but anyway, so what I was gonna say is that I see a lot of guys that say this, and oh yeah, so for example, like you, LFA, you haven't ever had any problem with women, and part of it is because you're an attractive dude, right? You've probably been an attractive dude for a long time. I'm guessing that you played sports in high school, that you're pretty much in the jock category in high school. Am I on point there?
Yeah. So initially, so I entered the sexual market as like being a 14-year-old, so it was kind of like, it was just around, it just naturally happens. So like, it's hard for me to explain to some of these guys that are struggling, honestly. Yeah, I don't know what to tell the guy.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I'm saying that is because, the reason why you've had a lot of success with women is because you were attractive early on. And so it's not to say that you can't be attractive and not have success with women, but if you're not already having success with women, you haven't had success with women your whole life, you're probably not attractive. Like, even if people are telling you that, again, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just giving you the harsh reality of the situation. It's like the reason why someone like LFA is so confident is because he started out attractive. And so women act very like unnatural, right? We'll call LFA. We'll say you're a natural LFA, right? A lot of the reason why is because he built confidence because he was already attractive and women responded to him early on. And so he knew he was attractive to women. And so he didn't have any fear and he had that confidence. And so he developed really good social skills around women because he always got positive feedback from women since 14 years old, right? And so that's going to carry throughout your life. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't change in your life and become attractive, but for guys that are, and I'm just saying this to help you guys, for you guys that are being told by people that you look like a runway model or you're attractive, probably if you have problems with women, that's not true. People are saying that to be nice to you. It doesn't mean you can't be attractive. It doesn't mean you have to be attractive to be successful with women, but there's a reason why your social skills don't match up to the looks, and it's because the looks are not true. And again, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm trying to give you guys some truth about that. Again, build your physique, build yourself up, look smacks as you can, but
you know what?
build confidence.
I just thought of something. Sorry to.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So if he is as attractive as he thinks he is,
Mm.
and now I don't know where he lives. Okay, if he lives in Miami or Vegas or LA or London or big city, I mean, then I could be wrong. But if he lives in a small town, a lot of the women may actually be intimidated by him. So they look at him and they expect him to do all the work because they're actually too shy to do anything, and he's not making any moves. So that could very well be it. Because listen, I'm like I rate myself like a 6 out of 10. Maybe I'm higher because I work out. I'm 6 feet tall. I don't know, but women are intimidated by me a lot of times in real life. So and I'm not a model. I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm not Justin Bieber. I'm not one of these guys that you see on TV. And women a lot of times are intimidated by me, and they're speechless. They don't know what to say. So if he's as good looking as he says he is, then that could very well be it. And what he should understand is he has the upper hand. They're the ones with butterflies. They're the ones that are scared to talk to him. So the ball's in his court. All he's got to do is make a move.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point, right? So it's easy to prove. Also, just pop up a Tinder profile and there you go. That's like you want the cold, harsh truth. There you go. Because you're only going to be evaluated on your looks on Tinder, right? It doesn't really matter what you put in your profile besides what your pictures. Just get some good pictures, right?
Right.
But yeah. All right, guys. What do you guys have for some questions here? And then we're gonna wrap things up pretty soon here. If you got questions for LFA, I need to get the call in that everyone's the phone number. Then it'll be a legit show. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's see. He said it's a man's sexual charisma, masculine dominance, social skills, fashion style, hairstyle, and body game that are primary factors for getting and keeping women. That's a lot of stuff to add to say is primary. So
I mean that covers almost everything.
Yeah.
Like is everything important? Yeah, I mean
you have to. I guess you have to have the whole package. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would. I mean, my this is a good one too. Is like my personal opinion is that status is the most important, and my evidence for this is rock stars, because there's some fugly looking rock stars, and those guys slay, right? And it's like I think you could have a model in a room, and you could have a rock star, and the model could be 10 out of 10, perfect Giga Chad looking, and the women will go for the rock star pretty much every time.
Yeah, he's so high on the dominance hierarchy, and that's something I have a lot of guys come to me. I mean, there's men in my community that very extremely wealthy. I mean, there's millionaires in there that still struggle with women. Mm-hmm. There's one guy that I worked with recently. I won't say his name, but he's a millionaire. He's actually good looking. I've seen him on Instagram. He's got it all, it seems like, and he caught his wife cheating with her boss. And her boss, he showed me a picture of her boss. He was extremely unattractive, in my opinion. Like, I can't really rate guys, but comparing the two of them, it wasn't even close. But because he was her boss, and, she viewed him as being so high on her dominance hierarchy, he was a guy that kind of told her what to do. And, she just viewed him as a guy with high status and high value. So she ended up doing that, and that's a dark side of female nature, but it's a harsh truth.
Yeah.
I think the way of preventing that, though, is really establishing boundaries and expressing. And when I say express dominance, I don't mean like, be abusive or something like that, but you just kind of got to let her know who's wearing the pants, and don't let her stray away into somebody else's, frame, so to say.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's so many guys think that they're going to get, because I get the emails all the time. Oh, I'm going to get all of this. I'm going to make a bunch of money, and then I'm going to get jacked and then get ripped. And then I won't have to go and approach women. I won't have to build my confidence, because then they'll be just attracted to me. And they don't realize that's not it, that you have to build more than that. So what do you think for guys, maybe some advice for guys to be able to hold on to women to prevent that situation? Like, I guess what advice would you give to that guy to have him prevented that situation? Because he's already got the money, he's already good looking. How could he acted differently or prevented that from happening in the first place?
Well, I can speak from experience. When my 2 longest term relationships that I've been in have went downhill, the big reason was I was starting to get bored with them in the bedroom. You know, I was starting to look at other women, and they were maybe they were starting to become open to affection from other men as well. And maybe that's a driving factor that pushed us apart. Now, I can't speak from any knowledge of me being cheated on. It may have happened, I don't know. But I think a big thing is just maintaining that level of sort of spice. And a lot of guys in the manosphere don't really talk about that, but you have to keep that sex life going. And, you know, I've actually heard a Rollo say that sex is the glue that holds a relationship together. Agreed. You know, if you start to lose that, it's probably over with. So I think that's the big point. And other than that, it's, you know, you have to sort of keep her in your, your frame, so to say. You know what I mean? You can't let her get out of there. If she starts to become open to affection and attention from other men, eventually she's going to meet a man who sort of takes charge more than you do. And, you know, women like to follow the direction of the most important man in their life. And if you kind of lose that spot, then that's what's going to happen.
And do you think that guys have to constantly, because I hear from a lot of guys, they're like, okay, well, it's not worth it because like there's like hypergamy is unstoppable. So there's always some guy better than me. So there's always some guy that's going to take my girl at some point in time.
Right. Well, there's a certain level of, okay, as a man, you're going to have times when hot chicks come onto you and you're thinking, you know what, if I can get away with this, I might do it. Well, there's going to be times when women are going to meet men who are of higher value or higher status than you. And then it's up to them to also make the right decision there. Now, you know, there's going to be some that don't. There's going to be some that do. It's you can't paint all women with a broad stroke in that sort of a scenario. It's just not the truth. I mean, you can if you want to, if that's the level of you know, that's what you're going to preach. That's kind of your brand, so to say. But it's just not the case in the real world. You have to hold her accountable, and some women, they're going to pass that test, some won't. You know.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I would add like that you always have to be like improving yourself as like you don't get to it's like I draw the similarity to like being the boxing champion or like, you know, UFC champion. Like you get the belt, and you get to have the belt for a year or whatever, like, but you have to defend the belt. So you have to keep like, if you're like, okay, I got the belt, I'm the best in the world, no one can beat me. And then you stop going to the gym and you stop training and you stop improving, someone will beat you. And that's it. And it's like, life as a man is a constant battle to improve yourself your whole life. And I almost feel like hypergamy is a good thing in the sense that it forces men to constantly improve, right? If you don't have that, it's sort of that fire that's behind you, that lion that's constantly chasing you, that makes you constantly making yourself better, even after you've already won, so to speak. Yeah.
And there's always that chance that no matter what you do, she's still going to leave, honestly. And there's, you know, sometimes the MGTOWs are right about that, but you know, it's sorry, but that's just a harsh truth in life. There's no 100%, you know, foolproof cheat code to get through.
All right. I got one more big one here that we can address. Oh, or no. All right, here it is. This is the thunder, the throwdown here. Bulldog talks about cold approaching. LFA talks about hot approach. What's the best way to go? All right. What's your well, I mean, I know your stance, but what's your argument?
Okay, so to me, there's two different versions of cold approaching. There's like okay, you're on vacation or you're out of town somewhere. You're never going to see these women again. So approaching women is really the only way you're going to be able to hook up with a woman.
Right.
And I fully understand that. But listen, if I'm on the beach, if I'm at a nightclub, wherever I'm at, I'm there to have a good time. If I'm at a shopping mall, I'm there to shop. Now, if a woman does something to pique my interest, and what I mean is she has to do some sort of flirting to even turn me on to a point where I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to go over and talk to her. So that's my perspective on that. Now, if you're a dude that if it, all that's on your mind is getting some pussy, like you came to the beach to get pussy, then you're going to have to cold approach women. I mean, you're probably going to have to, but me personally, I'm going to have such a good time that I think I'm going to attract women anyways. Like that's just my mindset towards that. So in terms of a hot approach, it's basically just, okay, if I'm at a nightclub, if I'm having a really good time and, women are going to see that and they're going to want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? So that's just how I view that. I'm not sure if I'm wording that correctly, but the other part of cold approach is the, psychological part of getting over the fear of approaching women. And I also sort of have a fundamental disagreement with that as well. I think, let me give you an example. Let's say I'm a football coach and I have a quarterback that has maybe some confidence issues. He's been throwing a lot of interceptions lately. I'm going to start out the game by giving him some really easy chip shots. Just a little screen pass to the running back, and we're going to pick up some yards. And before you know it, you're going to have some good stats. You're going to look at your stat sheet. You're 9 for 10, and you've got 150 yards. Now we can start throwing the bombs, And same thing with males. I mean, I would teach them, look, get your shit together. Start getting the looks from women. Start getting some attention from women, and then you can build your confidence. And then you're going to it's going to feel like your closing rate is 100% because you're only messing with women that are actually fully invested in you or fully attracted to you to begin with. Whereas if you're just basically just taking shots at women that don't even notice you, you're irrelevant to them, then you're going to get rejected a lot. And that may actually hit your self-esteem and actually lower your confidence a little bit, in my opinion. But those are the two aspects of cold approach. And that's why I'm not a big fan of it, but whatever. So what about you?
I'll start with the last thing you said. So because I agree with what you're saying, like it makes sense. There's a counter to it of how to overcome that though. So in general, yes, if a guy has a low self-esteem and then he's rejected by women, and if he does cold approach, like I was just talking to Myron about this, like the best of the best, the 1 out of 10 is what you can expect, right? You're getting rejected 9 times. So 1 out of 10. If you're not ready for that, it'll crush your ego pretty bad. Like it's gonna make things worse for you. But here's what I do. Like, so, cause when I take guys out and coach them, like for instance, in Vegas, like when we have the talk in my hotel room before they go out, this is what I tell them is I'm like, look, here's the deal. So your criteria for success, what I want you to do tonight is I want you to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. I want you to go and talk to the girl. And as long as you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you win. Because what we're trying to do, like getting a number, getting laid, those are not win criteria. That's not what we're trying to do. Instead, we're just trying to get you in uncomfortable situations so that you can become immunized to that and that you can become comfortable, because you're not going to have success with women until you can be comfortable and be yourself and show your confidence, which means that you have to get into a lot of uncomfortable situations in order to grow. And I know that every time you get in an uncomfortable situation and you sustain that you're growing as a person. And so I reframe it for them. And then when they're going out there, they win every time, every interaction, every girl they talk to, it's another win, it's another win, it's another win. So they're building their confidence, almost like you said, like throwing the short passes, is because I'm reframing it for them. Now, eventually you're going to have to take it to the next level, but they've got so many wins under their belt and they feel good. And now they're setting themselves up for success, because I know that some guy walks up and he's stuttering and he's shaking and he's sweating and he's like, talking like he's going to fail. it doesn't matter how good looking he is. It doesn't matter how much stuff he's got going on in his life. If he can't present himself well, he's going to fail. So my first goal is to get them to the point where they can present themselves well, which means putting them into uncomfortable situations and making that their win criteria. So that's how I kind of counter that aspect of it, because what you're saying is right. Again, it's like, and also preparing them to say like, look, do you know what the actual numbers are? Right. It's like, if you're going to do cold approach and you're really going to actually do this, it's probably going to like take you 1 out of 300, when you're first starting out. And the reason why I'm a big advocate of that and why I think it's good is because one, it does build that inner confidence and the ability to like handle uncomfortable situations. But two is because, the counter to kind of what you said about laying back and getting the signals from women is that there's a lot of guys that I would coach that they're never going to get it. There's no girl that's going to be looking at them. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't mean to be mean, but there's plenty of guys that I've coached that it's like, yeah, there's, of all the guys in the room, it doesn't matter how much like he does or how much fun he's having. He's just not he's the Danny DeVito of the, you know what I mean? So for guys like that, it's like, hey, if you learn how to cold approach, and then you can, those guys actually do have success. Because if you're a average looking guy, you can be successful. It's just, you have to like really learn game, and you really have to be aggressive, and you really have to open a lot. It's going to be a numbers game for you for sure. So that's why I'm in that camp. And also, like, I'd say one last thing is that, again, like you said, if you're going to the beach, you're just having a good time and you already have abundance in your life, you already have a lot of women and stuff, then yeah, you're going to go out there, you're going to have a good time. Women are going to see, they can almost smell it on you, right? Someone who's already successful, and shit's just going to magically happen. You'll see a girl looking at you, you'll know how to read the signals, and everything will go good. But if you're just like, okay, I want to get success, like I'm looking to get laid, then to me, the most effective way to do it is to just approach every single girl, just to burn down the whole fucking place. Because if you compared the two approaches, if you said, okay, if you had two guys and you're like, okay, this guy is only going to go after girls that give him choosing signals, and this guy's going to he's going to go after girls that give him choosing signals, he can go after girls that don't give him choosing signals, he's going to fucking burn down the place. The guy that burned down the place is going to be more successful overall at that goal. Again, like you said, if that's not your goal, then that's different. But if it's just like, if the goal is just straight, I want to have success, then that's how I chalk it up.
Yeah, I can agree with that to an extent.
What's your objection?
I mean, I don't have an objection. I mean, that's the way you like to teach it. I mean, I fully understand. It's sort of again, I'm still going to have my way of thinking, but it's sort of like I remember they asked Kobe Bryant why they lost, and he shot 40 shots, which is like an unrealistic amount of shots. Most guys will shoot like 25. He said, because I didn't shoot 50 shots. I didn't shoot enough.
Right.
And, that's some guy's mentality. I mean, it's like, hey, if it works for you, go for it. I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. I just think, for some guys, I guess it's different strokes for different folks.
Well, what would you recommend though, for someone that is like not a top tier, a guy like, I mean, do you think like a guy that's not going to be
I would recommend that he becomes top tier. I mean, now if he's Danny DeVito, listen, if Danny DeVito pulls up in a Ferrari, he's gonna get some women. I think, listen, if that's an area where he struggles, like attracting women is an area where he struggles, then focus on some other things, because there's other things that women are going to be attracted to. It's not just the physical appearance part. If you're at the nightclub and you're buying out the bar and you're in VIP and you've got a cool party going on over there and everybody's coming back to your place afterwards, then I think women are still going to gravitate towards that. I mean, I think you're not living that life if you were living that life, you would make it happen.
Yeah, but that's a pretty tall order, right? To like, I agree. Like, you pull up in the Ferrari, you could be Danny DeVito, and and you're probably going to have some action. But there's two things I would say about that. And again, I'm just acting this honestly because I want to get your opinion on it. I want to know, kind of dive deep into this. So the first one is, will they have a genuine desire for you, or will they be using you? Like, do they want something from you, or they want you? And then the second one is, that's a pretty high level of money that you need to
they'll 100% be using him. But he's using them for looks. They're using him for money. Okay. And in a situation like that, when there is no base level genuine desire to begin with, there's no platonic, not platonic. There's no, natural genuine desire for one another. So you're basically having to approach her and having to, basically entertain her just to get her over there. I think at the end of the day, even if she says yes, she would be using him for, maybe she just doesn't have any options that night. Maybe, whatever. He's just like the last resort. So I think either way, he's not going to get the full investment in her if he's not at a level that she desires.
But if he does cold approach and he has game, he could not have the Ferrari. He could not be good looking, and he could generate genuine desire, right? I mean, through his charisma, and he could get her sexually attracted, right? Because I definitely know guys that have been successful at that. So that's
he could. I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm not fully disagreeing with you that cold approach never 100% time never works. I'm just saying I personally think there could be a more effective way of going about it, and you don't have to have the Ferrari. I think a lot of it does come down to having confidence. I think women, if they see you in a nightclub with confidence, enjoying yourself and having a good time, you don't necessarily have to have the Ferrari, but you're still that's sort of the laws of attraction. If you're genuinely a person whose energy is high and you're a fun person to be around, then you're going to pull people and they're going to want to be around you. But no, you're right. If you're a guy that is really, low on the looks level and, whatever, then you're probably going to have to put a little more effort into it than a guy that's not,
Yeah. I think that it's to some degree, it's like guys have to start out learning to cold approach that don't have like the natural ability, because so many guys are afraid to just talk to women. I think I feel like that's a barrier. Like if you never overcome that barrier, then you're not going to have any success, because it's the basic criteria, right? And I suppose if you just only talk to women that showed any interest in you, you would eventually learn it. But I feel like it would still take you a while to learn it, to become comfortable. But
yeah, looks like you got a super chat there.
Okay, yeah, let's don't try and skirt the subject, man. No, it's cool. Cool. We had a good back and forth on it. Yeah, it's good.
I mean, I've stated what I have to say. I don't disagree with what you're saying, so I'm not going to disagree with it. I mean, I see where your point's going.
Yeah,
to an extent, I agree with it.
Yeah, no, I'm just playing around. So, all right. So we got Eddie Daniels, $5. He says, LFA, what do you think implying your alpha and giving the women an opportunity to chase? I think he means, what do you think of implying your alpha and giving the woman an opportunity to chase?
Well, you don't want to imply it. You want to be it. An alpha male is basically, for lack of a better term, he's a go-getter. It's a guy who takes initiative, he takes control of his life. He's dominant. He knows what he wants. He knows how to get it. If you are that and you're getting the results that you want out of life, chances are you're going to be so busy chasing whatever it is you're after that women are going to have to chase you if they want to be with you. You're going to be kind of doing your own thing over there. So I don't think you want to imply your alpha. That's delusion.
Right.
You don't want to be this delusional guy that thinks he's hot shit and really you're just kind of, a chode. So, I mean, there's something to that. If you are a real alpha, you're doing well in life, you're getting the results you want in life, You have a dominant personality. You know, you're the kid in high school who, when it was time to do a report in front of the class, you raised your hand and you went first. You were that guy. You know, you were the first guy to get up and go. You know, you're ready to take on life by the horns. Then I think in that situation, then a lot of women are going to chase you. But if you're just implying that you're alpha, it's not going to work like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. I always say that like an alpha male is a guy that does what he wants and gets what he wants. If you're not doing what you want, you're not getting what you want. Like you could do what you want, but if you're not getting what you want, you're not it. Like keep on trying.
Yeah.
But if you are, it's going to be apparent. You won't have to imply. I don't know how you even imply that you're alpha. It's like, you're like, hey, what's up, girl? You know how they have wolves and like some of the wolves like lead the other wolves? I'm one of those wolves. Which one do you think I am?
Yeah, I don't.
I don't. How do you imply it? All right. Let's see here. There was one other thing I wanted to. Oh, okay. So there's a guy in the chat that's saying that this is a good. Oh, okay. So there's two things here. So one is this guy. He's what's the success rate of a short, balding, poor-looking dude cold approaching? I mean, we could replace cold approaching with just like approaching.
What's the success rate? It's gonna obviously vary. I think, for the most part though, women don't generally go home with dudes they meet at a nightclub. Okay. They already have a phone full of men and somebody's probably going to come pick them up, or they're going to go over to some dude that they've been obsessed with for the last 6 months, go back to his place. Now there are some that are going to go home with guys, but I think in general, by and large, women reserve themselves for higher value males. So if you're a man who, for whatever reason, is considered low value, she's going to be almost like repulsed by the guy. Like, get this guy the fuck away from me, unless he's incredibly charismatic and really smooth and really, really good at what he's doing. But by and large, it's just not going to be that way, because a lot of charisma is genetic too. I mean, there's some guys that are just naturally, even as a teenager, they were able to talk. They can tell a joke and they can deliver it properly and make people, they can entertain the room. They can speak publicly. They just have that sort of thing going for them. And some guys just don't, so really depends on the guy's level of charisma, I guess. That's what it would come down to. And even if he has high charisma, he's probably competing with guys who are much taller and better looking than him that have the same amount of charisma.
Yeah. I think there's an element to it. I mean, there's, as far as like, I mean, the success rate is going to be lower, but you can overcome that by numbers. That's what my answer would be, is like, just, it's going to take you a lot more work. So still get to work. Like, that's, but yeah, but along with that, I guess one thing I would say also, well, I mean, so this guy, I guess his best bet then, in your opinion, would be to build up the status to the point of being able to attract women, or Danny DeVito style.
That would be his best bet. And see, this is why I didn't necessarily want to counteract your cold approach, your take on cold approach so much, because this is a guy that's going to have to take 100 shots. He's going to have to. That's just the way it is. It's like trying to get a job, trying to get a professional level job with no credentials, no experience, no degree, no none of that. It's like you're competing with guys that are a lot better than you. When you look at their body of work, they're a lot better than you. So you're going to have to apply for a lot more jobs than they are. It's just the way that's going to be.
Yeah. So get to work, man. Just like do what you can. But I have definitely seen guys that are, that have a lot of things that you would not expect. In fact, one of my friends does not meet the archetype of he's short, he's skinny, he's not of the preferred ethnicity of most women in the Western world. And the first time I went out with him, I was just amazed, like shocked, because he just was going up to girls and putting his arm around them and and they were receptive. And it was because he just was calibrated. He just knew, and he was fearless, and he was just a fucking machine. So there's hope for you. You just have to go and make it happen. And when I talked to him, I was like, how the hell did you develop that skill? He's like, I just got so frustrated of living my celibate life that he's like, I went out every year, every day for like 2 years, and I had no results at all. And then finally I started to get results. So, your mileage may vary, but no, one last thing I think I'm just curious about. So, because I thought about this again. So what about the 9s and 10s? What about the girls that because those girls are probably not going to be, giving you choosing signals, right? If you want a girl that hot, you're pretty much going to have to go up to her. Do you disagree? Again, I'm not trying to load the conversation.
There's two sides to that coin. To go along with your cold approach policy here, a woman that is a 9 or a 10 is getting looked at by every guy in the room, but most guys don't have the nuts to talk to her. And so cold approaching a 9 or a 10 is probably actually a really good idea. But also at the same time, a 9 or a 10 is naturally going to be a lot more confident than a woman that's a 5 or a 6. So if she does have that level of attraction to you, she's going to show it, and she's going to make it really easy for you. Whereas, a girl that's a 5 or a 6, she's kind of going to be sit there with her head down and look the other way every time you look at her and things like that. So, there's really two sides to that coin. But if you're not getting choosing signals from her and you want her, by all means, approach her. I'm not saying don't do that. Always, if there's always go for what you want. That's and I don't mean to get too far into the alpha beta stuff. It's kind of stupid terminology, but if you want to consider yourself an alpha, you've got to go for what you want. You have to. That's rule number 1.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that's a good way of stating it. And that makes sense. And that applies whether you believe in cold approach or choosing signals, right? It's if you're just always going for what you want, then you're going to do whatever you want. So it doesn't matter. Cool. Well, guys, before we wrap this up here, go over right now and go to LFA's channel and go subscribe. I am amazed that he doesn't have more subscribers, because his content is fucking gold, and it's really good. I am amazed. The YouTube algorithm is just doing you such a disservice, man, because I keep on waiting for your channel to fucking explode, and it doesn't. You've got ridiculous engagement on it, so many people that are watching the videos, but it just doesn't seem to be going up there.
Yeah, my growth was suppressed. I was averaging 250 new subs per day, and
wow, yeah.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was my videos still get the same amount of views they were getting. So my current subs watch the videos, but people aren't finding the videos. And I think this happens with a lot of content creators, and I don't sit around and make up excuses or complain about it. I don't fucking care. If YouTube doesn't like me, they don't like me. What am I going to do about it?
Well, guys, go show your love, go show your support, and go over to LFA's channel and subscribe, seriously. And thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the channel. Thanks for being a good sport as well. And I think it's a good discussion that we have. We don't have to agree on everything, but I think we agree on a more than we disagree on, it seems like. So
yeah, thanks for having me. And I'll have to get you on my channel. I'll write up some good questions that you didn't ask me, and maybe I'll ask some of them that you did ask me, but whatever. And we'll get you on my channel one of these weeks.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Thanks again. And I'll see you next time.